The name of this chapter is For Tyndale and for God. At English House, Rogers spread out the pages he had taken from the dungeon and went on to complete the Old Testament. In a few months, the work was finished. Rogers took the copy to a printer in Antwerp, who began work on the book. The merchants and captains of English House were almost as happy as Rogers when he brought the first sheets from the printers. The type was large and clear, and the print was black. Each sheet was 8 by 12 inches, and which would make a large, handsome Bible. Everything went well until the book of Isaiah was printed. When Rogers visited the print shop, he found the work laid aside. "What is the meaning of this?" he asked. "There is no more money," the printer said. "But I've given you all I have," Rogers answered. "I have no more. Can you not go on, and we will pay you when the books are sold?" The printer only shook his head. "We cannot print without money." Rogers went back to English House and told the men there what had happened. A feeling of sadness came over the group, for no one had enough money to finish the work. In a few days, the ship arrived in port, and 2 merchants came to the seaman's house. As soon as they entered English House, they heard about the problem of money for the printers. A few minutes later, the merchants went to Rogers. "Sir," one of the men said, "for the love we hold for William Tyndale, we will give you the money to finish the Bibles. This work must go on. We cannot fail our friend who gave his life for the Bible." Rogers went at once to the print shop, and the craftsmen began to set the type and to print the fine sheets of paper. Soon the new Bible was ready for the title page and the binding. Meanwhile, the way was being opened for the reception of this new Bible in England. Whether some of the leaders of the church liked it or not, the people were eager to read the Word of God. The Bishop of Hereford complained to his friends, "The people do not know the Holy Scriptures better than the people do now know the Holy Scriptures better than many of us." "That is true," one of the bishops answered. "We are the leaders of the people. If the people are going to be given the Scriptures in their language, rather than in the Latin which we teach, we should be the ones to translate it for them." But who of us could do it? The Bishop of Hereford looked around the circle of bishops that had gathered to discuss the problems. No one answered. Not one of them knew Greek or Hebrew enough to translate the Bible. The clergymen returned to their homes without answering the question. Archbishop Cranmer of London was one of those who felt that a Bible should be prepared for the people. When the merchants from Antwerp heard of his interest in a Bible, they took one of the newly printed Bibles to Cranmer and presented it to him. He read parts of it and was satisfied with what he had read. This book was written in the simple language of the people. The Archbishop wanted the king to see this new Bible, for of the seals, who saw the king every day. Cranmer thought that if Cromwell could take this Bible to his Majesty, perhaps he could persuade the king to place his seal upon it, and thus it could be bought and sold freely without punishment. The Archbishop wrote a letter to Cromwell. "You should receive by the bringer hereof," the letter read, "a Bible in English, both of a New translation and of a new print. And as for the translation, so far as I have read thereof, I like it better than any other translation heretofore made. I pray you, my lord, that you will exhibit the book into the King's Highness, and to obtain of his grace, if you can, a license, that the same may be sold and read of every person without danger." Then he added the afterthought, "Until such a time that we, the bishops, shall set forth a better translation, which I think will not be till a day after doomsday." He sent the letter, the Bible by messenger. Cromwell showed the Bible to the king, and within a week replied to the Archbishop, "I have obtained of his grace that the same shall be allowed by his authority to be bought and read within the realms." When he heard this good news, Cranmer wrote again to Cromwell. "And whereas I understand that your lordship, at my request, has not only exhibited the Bible, which I sent unto you, to the king's majesty, but also hath obtained of his grace, that the same shall be allowed by his authority to be bought and read within this realm. My lord, for this your pain taken in this behalf, I give unto you my most hearty thanks, assuring your lordship, you have showed me more pleasure herein than if you had given me 1,000 pounds. Rogers was happy when he received the word from the merchant who had taken the Bible to London. At once he had the printers prepare the title page with a dedication to the king, to the most noble and gracious prince, King Henry VIII and Queen Anne. Although much of the Bible was Tyndale's translations, Rogers did not dare put the martyr's name on it. Neither did he dare to put his own name on the title page, for those who hated Tyndale knew that Rogers had worked with him. Instead, he chose a fictitious name, Thomas Matthew. The title page read, "The Bible, which is all the Holy Scriptures, in which are contained the Old and the New Testament, truly and purely translated in English by Thomas Matthew." The first 5 books of the Old Testament were almost exactly as Tyndale had translated them from the Hebrew and had published them 2 years before. The books he had translated in prison were next. Following these were the other books of the Old Testament, very much as Coverdale had printed them in his Bible. The New Testament was a translation that Tyndale had made from original Greek manuscripts. Because of the permission he had received from the king, Cromwell said that Rogers might put on his title page the words, "Sent forth with the king's most gracious license." In 1537, the beautiful Matthew Bible, as the people called it, reached London. The merchants no longer needed to hide it in their bales of merchandise. No one could be punished for buying a Bible in which were printed the words, "with the king's license." Soon all the books Rogers had printed were sold. With the money the people paid, he had another edition printed. The king never knew that the very Bible he had banished from the country was now being sent out with his permission, dedicated to him and his queen. He had banished Tyndale's Bible, and he had made no effort to save the translator's life. Yet, within a year after the martyr's death, his Bible was being read and treasured by the people of England. Tyndale's prayer had been answered.